Hi everyone, nice to see you. I'm Barbara and today I make a video in which I'm going to explain you with some examples how to teach reading, writing, listening and speaking skills using literary texts of different genres and connect them with teaching culture. Let's continue. First, I would like to make a little introduction of this topic. Let's start. Teaching reading, writing, listening, and speaking through literary texts of different genres is critical because it allows students to develop essential language skills. Literature not only facilitates the practice of these skills, but also promotes empathy and tolerance by exposing students to diverse cultures and perspectives. By integrating literature with the teaching of culture, a deeper and more meaningful understanding of language is fostered, preparing students to communicate effectively in a multicultural world. When teaching language skills, certain literary genres can be especially effective due to their specific characteristics. Here are some of them. And let's start with the first activities that are the reading activities. The first activity of reading activity is a reading. This is a French reading and the name of this reading is The Necklace. And the objective of this reading activity is for students to read and discuss themes, character, motivations, and cultural elements. Compare the cultural values and social norms presented in the story. Discuss the meaning of values such as generosity and materialism in different cultures. Another activity that we have in the reading activities is the novels. Students read chapters from novels that depict different cultural backgrounds. They can keep a journal to note cultural references, customs, and traditions. And the genre that they can use for this activity are historical fiction or contemporary fiction. Graphic novels. This is the other activity. Use graphic novels to teach reading and visual literacy. Discuss how illustrations and text together convey cultural narratives. The genre that they can use in this activity are graphic novels or comics. And let's continue with the writing activities. The first activity that we have is a poetry activity. For this activity, students will have to research some poems like the one we have in the image. For example, in this image we have a poem that the name is A Dream Within a Dream, written by Edgar Allan Poe. And based on those poems, they will have to write their own poem inspired by these forms. Discuss the themes and emotions in the poems. Explore how different cultures express nature, individualism, and reflection in poetry. Another activity that we have in the writing activities is diary entries. Students write diary entries from the perspective of characters in the literary texts they read. This helps them explore cultural contexts and character motivations. And the genre that they can use in this activity are historical fiction or biographies. And the last activity of writing activities is letters. Students can write letters to a character in a story or to an author discussing cultural elements and personal reflections. And the genre that they can use for this activity are fiction or non-fiction. Let's continue with the listening activities. In this case, we have the first activity that is a music and lyrics activity. Listen to songs such as Altas Horas by Julio Jaramillo, an Ecuadorian singer, Imagine by John Lennon, an English-speaking singer, and La Vie en Rose by Edith Piaf, a French singer. Objective: students analyze lyrics, tone, and cultural context, discuss how music reflects cultural identity and social issues. The other activity that we have in the listening activities is the podcasts. Students listen to podcasts featuring authors or discussions about literary works and their cultural impact. They can summarize the key points and cultural insights, and the genre that they can use in this activity are literary podcasts or author interviews. It's whatever they want to do. And the last activity of this skill is storytelling. Invite guests, speakers, or use audio recordings to share traditional stories from various cultures. Students can reflect on the cultural lessons and values. And the genre that they can use in this activity are folk tales or legends. And we have the speaking activities. The first speaking activity is the theater activity. It's a theater activity. Use plays such as Nuestra Señora de las Nubes by Aristides Vargas, Ecuadorian and Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare, an English-speaking writer, and La Casa de Bernarda Alba by Federico García Lorca, a Spanish writer, as a guide for students to observe the context, emotions, and expressions used in the different kind of plays. Students should interpret scenes to practice speaking and understand different perspectives, explore cultural and historical influences in the plays and the situations. Okay. The other activity that we have is the group discussions. Organize group discussions on themes from literary texts, encouraging students to share their thoughts on cultural aspects and compare them with their own experiences. Genre. The genre that they can use in this activity are novels or essays. And the last activity of the speaking skill is presentations. Students prepare and deliver presentations on the cultural background of a literary text, including historical context, traditions, and customs. And the genre they can use in this activity are nonfiction or historical texts. And I add a vocabulary activity, and the vocabulary activity is articles and essays activities. Students will have to read articles and essays on cultural topics, such as Mestizaje en Ecuador by Franklin Barrega Lopez, Ecuadorian, cultural diversity in the United States, English speaking, and the influence of African culture in Latin America. The objective is that students will have to expand vocabulary related to cultural identity, and they have to discuss the ideas presented in the texts and how they reflect cultural diversity. And I add connecting with cultural activities. The first activity is cultural projects. Students create cultural projects based on their readings, such as art pieces, multimedia presentations, or cultural artifacts. The genre that they can use this activity is any genre. In this case, they can choose which genre they can use in the activity. Literature circles is the next activity of this connecting with culture activity. From literature circles where students form literature circles where students read and discuss books from different cultures. Each student can take on a role such as summarizer, questioner, or culture connector. The genre that they can use in this activity is multicultural literature. And to finish this presentation, I think that integrating these activities, you can create an immersive learning environment that fosters both language development and cultural awareness. That's all for the video of today. I hope that you liked it too much, and I hope this will be really helpful to you, and see you soon.